Here's what's coming up on The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, your retirement television.
Part of our second opinion review is a fee assessment, and so it's something that we do. A lot of advisors don't do that because they don't want to talk about the fees, but we want to shine the light on fees because they can be a big cost in your retirement.
How do you derive budget?
It's pretty straightforward. It's a simple question because everybody knows this, is how much money gets deposited in your account every month with your job. That's it.
If I develop a portfolio with less risk, I have a higher probability of running out of money during retirement. True or false?
That is another false.
That's a big false, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of you have to teach clients about, I will tell most clients, only probably need, if they've saved an appropriate amount of money, about a 5 or 6% rate of return. That's it. It begins with a retirement income plan first, right? So the first thing we do for clients after we do a risk and fee assessment is we do a retirement income plan, right? Before you even come back for your next meeting, because the income plan, we call it begin with the end in mind, right? We want the most amount of income, least amount of risk, and never run out of money.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's retirement television.
Hi, San Diego, and welcome to this week's show.
Stay tuned. We have 30 minutes of great information just for you.
Don't go anywhere. The show starts right now. Hi, and welcome to this week's Ask the Architect, where you email your questions into us from all over San Diego, and we answer them right here on the show. Hey, David, I got some great questions this week. You ready?
Let's go.
My first one is from Tammy in La Jolla, and she writes, Hi, David. My husband has already retired, and I will be retiring in the next 3 years. My husband has been a DIY investor and has done all right for us through the years. That being said, I want us both to see a licensed advisor, if for no other reason than to hear that everything is okay. How can I convince him to do this?
Well, ask him if he loves you first, right? That's the key. So Tammy, great question. I call it the Home Depot advisor, right? Your own advisor, do it yourself, which is great. And I think it's a great thing to prod your husband to go ahead and get what we call a second opinion. We do them all the time. And just it's like you go to the doctor, you got an ache or pain and you want to get a second opinion. So you may have done a great job, but the key difference is in retirement, you're going to be focused on different things like retirement planning, retirement income planning, taxes, estate planning, things that sometimes are not as easy to be done. It's just saving money in retirement.
And that's really funny too, because I think that there are a lot of DIY men and women out there that do a heck of a job in the accumulation piece, right? They're the benefactors of a wonderful bull market. But just like you said, David, now we have to start looking at taxes, legacy, protection, medical, healthcare, all the pieces that a retirement planner will help you transition with. And another thing, I'm joking on the side here, but sometimes do you find that you have to play marriage counselor because you've got two that, hey, they just have a different view on things?
All the time. And I always say the wife's most important, right? And really from one perspective is that typically, the women live longer. And so really in the end, the wife becomes the client. Right?
That's right,
I tell
guys,
the husband that and they like that. So
yeah.
that's but thanks for the question. I appreciate that.
All right, David, my next question is from Robert in Oceanside, and he writes, I'm concerned that all of my annuities are variable annuities. I called my advisor and he said there's only a 1 to 1.5% fee on them. How can I check to make sure this is accurate?
Yeah, great question. That one thing that I always have people do is do what's called a fee assessment. Variable annuities, unfortunately, can be very expensive. The average cost, I just know off the top of my head, is between 3 to 5%. So really, 1 to 1.5% doesn't sound actually correct, but the best way to do that is really work with an advisor, have somebody give a second opinion on that as well, to look at actually what the fees are. Because there's lots of fees. There's insurance costs, there's money management fees inside of that. The advisor may be charging a fee. So typically, it's probably closer to 3 to 5%.
So just a little follow-up, David. Is this something they can do if they bring in all that information to your office? Will you help them with that?
Absolutely. We do it all the time. Part of our second opinion review is a fee assessment. And so it's something that we do. A lot of advisors don't do that because they don't want to talk about the fees. But we want to shine the light on fees because they can be a big cost in your retirement.
Last question from Carl in Delmar, and he writes, David, I have 3 401ks sitting at my old companies and a 4th at my current company. I'm 62 years old, and these 4 401ks represent all of my retirement savings. I'm looking for some ideas on how to position myself for retirement. Help.
Yeah, help. Carl, thanks for the question. Yeah, that's really common. I would tell you a lot of clients, they have their old 401ks, new companies. I had one client come to me with, I think they had 12 401k plans.
Oh my God.
And so part of the problem is that how do you actually assess where you're at? Right? And number 2, 401k plans are expensive. All they include is mutual funds, which we'll talk about eventually on this show. Very expensive. And so it's nice just to consolidate those things, put them into your own retirement account so you can actually monitor that and have other choices. So, and just to have a sense of how you're doing. And so that's the biggest reason.
So let me ask you this. Is this a fair rule of thumb statement? If I'm not at my previous company, my money shouldn't be in the 401k there. I should move it, roll it, do something?
Absolutely, 100%. There's absolutely no reason to keep at all, zero, to keep money at an existing 401k plan.
Right, because you're not getting the match anymore. You're just paying fees, right?
You're paying higher fees, you have less options, and you have less control.
All right, David, hey, thank you so much. If you want more information about anything we spoke about here today, hey, give us a call in the office or go to our website. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's retirement television.
Are you unleashing the possibilities of your assets in retirement? Hi, I'm David Reyes with Reyes Financial Architecture. As a retirement and investment advisory firm here in San Diego, we've helped countless retirees and pre-retirees create a cohesive plan to maximize their assets and, most importantly, their cash flow in retirement. Call 866-REYES-PLAN right now to schedule a complimentary second opinion review. And remember, you retire once, we retire every day.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's retirement television.
All right, San Diego, welcome back to the program here on AM 600. I'm here with David Reyes. He's a best-selling author and retirement planning expert, as well as, of course, as a TV personality. David, we have a great topic for the radio program today, and that is the 3 rules for success in retirement. Let me start with the first one. That is, this is such a big one, having a written retirement income plan. And we've talked about this on a lot of programs before, David, where you say, hey, almost nobody comes in to show me their written plan. Why is that?
It's funny. It's kind of a trick question. I always ask the client, show me, with your advisor, can you bring in your written retirement income plan? And they look at me like cross-eyed, right? Because they don't have that, of course. So, but it proves a point, right? I do it. It's kind of.
You mean that
funny.
pie chart isn't a written plan with the graph that says you do this with 4%? That's not a written income plan,
An investment
is it?
plan is not a retirement plan. That's a golden rule.
It's a little
right
bit of hopium, I think, is mixed in there, David.
Yes.
Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean it's just a foundational piece. Again, we always talk about about planning, and the fact is, because again, investments are purely a means to an end. That's it. Again, we don't have any care stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate. I don't care. What does it do? What's the safety of this investment? What's the cash flow? Again, we're trying to solve for income. We want the most amount of income, least amount of risk, never run out of money. It's just, I repeat that like 1,000 times. Some people want to beat me over the head and probably say, Dave, shut up. But the fact is that's just the reality of what we do. And so I always tell clients, the one thing for sure is you're going to get different advice from me than you've been gotten and you've been given in the past. And the fact is that most firms just don't deal in this area. It's very niche-y. My average age of my clients is probably 67 years old. And so, I'm getting older, they're getting older, but we don't have 30-year-old clients, 20-year-old clients. I mean, we do take on, the clients that we do take on that are younger are typically our clients' kids. So we love doing that because we can create kind of a foundational piece for not only the parents, but for their kids as well.
Speaking of foundational pieces, what is the foundational piece of putting together an income plan? You've got to put a budget, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
And how do you derive budget?
It's pretty straightforward. I ask the simple question because everybody knows this, is how much money gets deposited in your account every month with your job. That's it, because that covers taxes, it covers 401k contributions, so I just ask that question, and everybody knows that. Well, how much do you make? Well, I don't know, I make this, but how much do you deposit automatically goes into your checking account? That's what we budget off of. So because that's what they make today.
Right.
Of course, we
Okay.
want to know a budget, but really the budget's less important, quite honestly. It's important. We do a budget for every client, but really how much income are they receiving today while they're working? And our job, and 9 times out of 10, we're matching the cash flow that they have. Not for everybody, for most clients, if they're making $10,000 a month net as a family, that's our bogey, that's our benchmark for their income in retirement.
Yeah, and you brought me directly to the next way. Thanks for segueing me in so well. And it is cash flow, David. So we have to focus on cash flow, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the driver of everything we do. Protect capital, maximize income, make sure we don't run out of money. So the fact is that very few clients have never experienced, spending down their money, hopefully spending their money, not spending it down. But the fact is that that's just a different dynamic. And unless you've gone through that, it's very intimidating to start spending that money. Again, I call it permission to spend your money. And again, very young, when I started when I was 27 years old, in the first few months, I realized that actually I had to give people permission to spend their own money. And it was kind of weird at first, but now it's the reality. They need the hand holding, they need that permission, they need that security to be able to have that partner to help them with that.
Do you ever find with some folks that they say, okay, you put the budget together, you figure out what they're putting in the bank, you've got this magic number, I'll call it 10 grand a month. Mm-hmm. And you do all the analysis, David, and you find, well, they could actually do $12,500 a month. And that's got to be an exciting. Does that happen from time to time?
It happens a lot. I'll tell you a story. So the other day, I have a client, prospective client, and he's a real estate agent. She works for a pharmaceutical company, does really well. His income's up and down because he's
Sure.
on commission, but she makes great income, gets stock options. She does really well, and they have about $3 million, right? They're young. I think she's about 55, 57. He's about the same age. And it was funny, she's 55, that's right. She wants to retire as soon as possible. He wants her to work till 60, right? So I did the planning for them. She can retire today.
Yeah.
Right? He still doesn't want to retire today because he's just nervous Nelly. But the fact is, they could retire today because on $3 million, we're replacing $150,000 of income. We're giving them actually more money in retirement than they're making today.
And the last piece of this puzzle here is you must reduce risk, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason unless you just want to gamble. Again, I always say that most clients only need about a 5 or 6% rate of return, but consistent rate of return, not up 20, down 10, up 5, down 15, a consistent return over time, because if you're distributing 4 or 5% and you're earning 5 or 6 or 7%, right? But consistently, you can do well with that. So, the fact is that reducing risk actually a lot of times can actually make more money for clients because they're not trying to get back to even all the time.
Thanks, David. And listen, if you want to meet with David and have him do a complimentary second opinion on your portfolio, pick up the phone right now. Give him a call. That's 866-REYES-PLAN, or go to our website, which is reyesplan.com. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. We look forward to seeing you real soon.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's retirement television.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's retirement television.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Retirement True or False. David, I have some wonderful questions this week for San Diego, and my first one is, you can safely take out 5% of your diversified mutual fund portfolio and feel confident you will not run out of money during retirement. True or false?
Why are you smiling? False. How about that? Emphatically false. In fact, Morningstar publishes a report every year that talks about maximum distribution rates based upon a 30-year time frame for retirement, and I think now it's like 1.8%. So meaning you can only take out, on say $1 million, you could take out $18,000 a year. Think how bad that is.
Goodness
and not run out of
gracious.
money. And I'll tell you, that's not enough. Most clients are going to need around between 4 to 6% distribution rates, 4 to 5 at a minimum. So think of that 18,000 as more like 40 or 50,000
Sure.
is needed. So you're pretty much guaranteed to run out of money.
Is that doable today, David?
What's that?
We're in this low interest rate environment. Is it doable to get clients that type of return that you just spoke about?
That's what we do for all of our clients. Our average client's taking about a 5% distribution rate safely. Yep.
My next question is, if I develop a portfolio with less risk, I have a higher probability of running out of money during retirement. True or false?
That is another false.
That's a big false, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, you have to teach clients about, I will tell most clients, only probably need, if they've saved an appropriate amount of money, about a 5 or 6% rate of return. That's it. Right. So the market for the last, decades averaged about 15, 18%, way outside of the norm. So if you think about it, when you're taking distributions of capital and you have large losses, it's kind of like that pool. If you have a pool that's an average of 5 feet deep, but the middle's 10 feet deep, right? That loss, that can really, you can drown in that pool, right? Same thing with your portfolio. So we got to be careful. It's more important to have more consistent returns with less volatility. You'll have a safer retirement.
Next question I have is, a diversified portfolio of 50% bond funds is extremely conservative, and I could lose no more than 5 to 10%.
False. False. Big false.
False. So
Yeah. I mean, I know the math on a 60-40 portfolio because that's kind of the traditional. So in 2008, just for a perfect example, the market was down 55. A 60-40 portfolio was down about 35. So let's just be nice and say a 50-50 portfolio of stocks and bonds maybe was down 25 to 30. Right, so absolutely not. So, bonds, that's some kind of a misnomer. We're dealing with that today, right now, with, again, inflation and rising interest rates. Bonds are a risk asset right now, so they're not a good diversifier for risk mitigation.
All right, David, my next question is, all advisors are created equal, true or false?
False. Yeah, we've talked about this before in other shows, is that it's not a good or bad thing, it's just different. And the fact is, I think a couple things are important. Number one, some advisors focus more on accumulation of assets, on growth of assets. And then some other advisors, maybe like ourselves, will focus on risk mitigation and cash flow. Big difference. And also experience. We talk about that as well. Somebody who's 25, 30 years old is going to have different experience level. And I would argue that's a big deal, than somebody that's maybe been in the business 10, 20, 30 years, unfortunately like myself going on with 27. So the fact is, that's important because what it does is gives you more confidence in the things that you've done in the past and seen them work. And that translates into having the client have confidence in what you're recommending.
Yeah, and I like to point out to folks that your boutique independent advisor, obviously almost 30 years of experience, but that makes a difference because there's a lot of advisors out there that can help you in the accumulation piece, right? Get you to that point where you're ready to retire. But when you get to that point, it's time to take on a specialist. I move away from the general practitioner, and then I move into the specialist who then takes you from the money that you've accumulated into that preservation and distribution phase, which we've talked about on a number of shows, and getting someone to change that mindset, right?
Yeah.
From saving to spending. But that's really the point where you need a specialist like David Reyes,
Absolutely.
right? Because there's a lot of complicated things that seniors will be stepping into beyond the income.
Yeah, we focus so much on the investment piece, but really it's a piece. I mean, you're dealing with taxes, estate planning, long-term care issues, health care. We talk about written plans all the time. The planning part, that drives everything. So all those things have to be taken into consideration. And unfortunately, when you retire, all you've done really is saved money. You've never gone through the experience like we have as a firm for 27 years of distributing assets, and that's a totally different mindset.
It's funny too, I was just reminded of an article that I read recently where you could do the whole legacy planning piece online for like $499. Yep. And I thought to myself, goodness gracious, you're going to trust a template online.
Yeah.
Spend a couple more dollars, do it right so all your dollars transfer appropriately to your heirs and beneficiaries. Have you had clients come in who said they did some part of it online?
All the time. The retirement calculator, right? Think about that. All the retirement calculator is taking the average rate of return of the stock market. It's called a Monte Carlo simulation, right? What came from random number dispersion. Monte Carlo, that's where the nuclear scientists figured out, that's where it came from, getting a little wonky, but what was the dispersion of an atom bomb being dropped, right? They do the same thing of dispersion of rates of return. They use the same mathematics. It's just an average rate of return randomly over the last 100 years of the stock market. And so let's say, okay, that's the number. If it's 7%, okay, you can withdraw 7%. So it's pretty ludicrous because, we're not living 100 years, 200 years of retirement. It's a 30-year time frame.
Correct.
Right? So we have to be very precise about how we build a plan around cash flow. We don't use those types of templates for retirement distribution plan. We want absolute income. What is the cash flow that's being produced?
And you can put that together for the most part, right? I always like to be careful and say
yes,
potentially and this and that, but so someone will know, and a pre-retiree and retiree will know how much they can spend every month of every year for the rest of their natural life.
We say most amount of income, least amount of risk, never run out of money.
Love it. David, thank you so much. If you'd like to get a complimentary second opinion with David Reyes, hey, just call the number on the screen right now, 866-REYES-PLAN, or visit us on our website at reyesplan.com. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's Retirement Television.
Now more than ever, it's vitally important to review your current retirement plan and get an educated second opinion. Hi, I'm David Reyes, and for many retirees and pre-retirees, this is a very confusing time. As a family-owned business right here in San Diego, we have educated hundreds of families on how to retire with confidence in all market conditions. So let us help you. Give us a call at 866-REYES-PLAN for a complimentary second opinion. And remember, you retire once, we retire every day.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's Retirement Television.
Today I want to talk about my favorite topic, income planning and retirement. So, most people have the left column over here, which is 100% in the market, standard diversification, buy and hold, and what's called the 4% rule. What does that mean? Most people have what I call the boomer portfolio, which is a 60-40 stock and bond portfolio. 60% stock, 40% bonds. Your advisor says, here's what you got. It's conservative, which is not. You can take out 4%. So if on $1 million, you can take out $40,000 a year and everything's live happily ever after. Well, nowadays, that's probably about 2%, right? So either you can do that and have less quality of life, do less things, or you can do things what we do on what we call the modern custom plan, right? It begins with a retirement income plan first, right? So the first thing we do for clients after we do a risk and fee assessment is we do a retirement income plan, right? Before you even come back for your next meeting, because the income plan, we call it begin with the end in mind, right? We want the most amount of income, least amount of risk, and never run out of money. So in order to do that, you've got to say, what are my assets going to do for me, right? They have a job now, which is to produce income. Lifetime income. So what we're going to do more than what the traditional broker is going to do is we're going to look at how do we protect against downside? How do we actively manage risk, right? And so one big missing link, I would say the second besides no written retirement income plan would be risk management, right? Most advisors are going to say, hey, don't worry, the market's going to come back. I always tell you, if I tell a client that, then they should fire me because that's not my job. My job is to protect capital. So when you retire, we want to make sure that we earn a reasonable rate of return. Let's say we get 5 or 6% over the years, right? And we're taking out that money, but we're not losing 20, 30, 40, 50% of our assets. We want to go past stocks and bonds. Asset class diversification. We use everything under the sun. So we want to use stocks, of course. We use bonds when appropriate. But if we're going to use stocks, we want dividend paying stocks. We want cash flow. I always say if we're going to own stocks, we want to get paid. right? You need to get paid in retirement. You saved enough, you want to get paid. We're going to use real estate. We can get 4 or 5% plus on real estate as far as cash flow goes, right? And then third, we may use some principal guaranteed investments for lifetime income or principal protection to do two things: to mitigate risk and or increase cash flow. Active management. So most firms are going to be a buy and hold strategy, right? They're saying, okay, you're going to own these stocks or these mutual funds and whatever happens, happens. The problem is those mutual funds have no idea what you need in retirement, right? They don't know your risk tolerance, right? So the fact is there's certain parts of your portfolio we want to be more active with to help to mitigate downside during volatile times like we're in today. Income gap planning with dependable income. So we want to make sure that we look at all the dependable income, the safe income, which is going to be Social Security, pensions, maybe some lifetime income investments that we can put yourself in to make sure that our main objectives are taken care of. Then we can add on again, real estate, dividend paying stocks, things like that. So this is more what we do. This is more what I see most clients have. They're on kind of the non-plan plan, right? It's kind of the buy and hope it works out. Well, we don't want to deal in that reality. We want to make sure that we have a retirement, written retirement income plan. We have some type of portfolio downside protection, right? We have some active management along with some passive. We want to make sure our assets are producing cash flow. So if you have questions about anything I've talked about, either on this show or others, just feel free to reach out to us for a complimentary second opinion. Either give us a call or go to our website.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's Retirement Television.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Are you unleashing the possibilities of your assets in retirement? Hi, I'm David Reyes with Reyes Financial Architecture. As a retirement and investment advisory firm here in San Diego, we've helped countless retirees and pre-retirees create a cohesive plan to maximize their assets and, most importantly, their cash flow in retirement. Call 866-REYES-PLAN right now to schedule a complimentary second opinion review. And remember, you retire once, we retire every day.
You're watching The Retirement Architect with David Reyes, San Diego's Retirement Television.
Thanks so much for watching this week's show.
And if you want more information about anything we spoke about here today, give us a call in the office or go to our website.
And remember, you retire once, we retire every day.